This week on Sailing Chaos, we dream of being in beautiful places, but instead, we're stuck working on electrical.
So I'm back at the boat. Yesterday I did a little bit of electrical work. I was trying to get the DC system. I know where the batteries are gonna go and where I wanna do the controller. So this is gonna become our battery bank here. We're gonna build a battery box down there. And then from here the wires are gonna run up, and then we're gonna put our battery charger right there. I'm gonna put the isolator right over there. I did some terminals yesterday, and I'll do a video to show you how I go about doing that. And I'm kind of at a standstill because I got to get the isolator to get that mounted so I can get the controller mounted and know the length of wire, and I don't want to waste wire. This stuff isn't cheap. I did go with 4-gauge wire for all the main runs. So while I'm at standstill there, I didn't want to just stop doing anything. So now I'm going to start working on the AC system. They had a little panel down here. Just one, and he had a 20 amp breaker in here. Don't quite understand that. It's a 30 amp service. I would think you would have a 30 amp like double pole breaker in there is what we've been recommended to use. So, and then he just had everything tied into that one breaker, which I don't like. So I went and got an outdoor, I was trying to find a marine box, but really couldn't. The only one I found I didn't really like, it didn't have an enclosed back on it, and the prices are probably just going to be through the roof. You throw marine on anything, you pay more for it. So this is basically indoors, but I got an outdoor box, and then I'm going to put a 30 amp double pole breaker in there, which is going to cut power to the entire box, and then I think I'll have about 6 other circuits in there. And my plan is to have 20 to like 15 amp circuits running a couple different outlets throughout the boat. We're going to have at least 1 to 2 in the galley. We're going to have one back in the V-berth. We're going to have one over here for the TV that we'll have there. There's one over here, which he had one right here. We're going to put one there and redo it so that we have power out to the cockpit if we ever are working out there and we need tools. I guess we could use the one in the galley, but my concern is if we have kitchen stuff plugged into it, you don't have to unplug all that to do that. So this will kind of be the cockpit one, and they'll all have their own breakers. So I'm gonna rerun all the AC wire that he has. I've got a big spool of it here, connected to the shore power plug. That plug looks good. The cord that came with the boat doesn't look good, so I am gonna order a new one, and that's about that. So today's AC work, and then I can get that all tied into the charger, and then get the DC side once I get that isolator, which should be in today. So I'm taking apart the old breaker box one wire at a time. I believe this one here is the main that was coming in from the shore power outlet. And then what I find very scary is there was this little tiny wire. It almost looks like speaker wire. Looks like it has a little inline fuse on it, or it has an inline fuse. Just taped it off. And this was connected in here as well to the power. So all the more reason to go through your boat, make sure everything is the way it should be, because to me that's a fire waiting to happen. That could have been very dangerous, especially with it just terminated and laying in the underside somewhere near the bilge most likely. And I'm going to follow these wires, these two here. I'm assuming one goes to the V-berth and the other one goes, I believe, to the galley. What I don't quite understand is how the other two got power. So like I said, there's another outlet over here, and then there's another outlet there. So I'm gonna need to trace those and see where those go, because I would have thought there would have been 2 more wires that ran back to here. kind of limited on the size that I could go with. I knew I had about 12 inches by 12 inches to fit a panel in. So this one is about 11 and an eighth, and I believe it's also 11 and an eighth this way. That's pretty square. 125 amps, really wasn't sure what to go with, but I think that was the biggest I could get in this size, so I went with it. And it's a surface mount. It's got a cover that comes down and covers it with a little lock if I needed to. So everything's nice and enclosed. No chance of bumping into it and touching AC live circuit. So that's why I went with that. So this is the inside of the panel. The cover comes right off. And you've got where your breakers go. You've got your neutral wires that go over here. For some reason they don't come with ground blocks, I guess they're called, or ground bars. But I did end up purchasing one. I ended up picking up a stripper for the wire to strip it easier. It comes with labels. It's got a cover for the top if you don't end up going through that. But reading the instructions, basically you've got to take, these are the breakers that I got. Got double pull, I bought a backup, and then I've got my single pull. That's gonna lock in there. And then there's like a retaining clip that you're supposed to get if you're gonna use the double pull. And it screws in there, and I think it just holds this whole thing down in there. So it doesn't pop off. But that basically just connects this circuit and this circuit together. And then you put your other breakers here. So I'm gonna try to get everything wired up. I try to do as much stuff as I can before I have to crawl down into little tiny holes. You guys, this little cheap device that I picked up a while ago. I want to say I paid like maybe 10, 15 bucks at it's called Harbor Freight Tools. It's a cable tracker. So basically you have this side here is your wand. You have this little box here that you basically hook to your positive and neutral and negative, and you turn it on to tone. And then you can go around and test different outlets. So it will emit a sound. So that's a low sound, so that means it's not that outlet. So, I mean, it does that floating in the air. And let's try the galley. So you come up to the galley one. There we go, bingo. So really loud sound. You know that wire traces back to there. Really cheap tool, but it does the trick. I'd recommend highly to have it. I used it on the DC wires to track down where this one went. This was a overhead light, and it ran back to the panel that was marked cabin lights. So highly recommend it. We had a couple of packages come in the last couple of days. It's actually today's the day after Christmas, so we've got them Christmas Eve. And I wanted to show you what I've been waiting on to finish the electrical up is a battery isolator. Basically, this takes my 3 batteries, my starter battery and each of the house batteries, and separates them so that one can't draw from the other. We also upgraded our AC wire that comes in to 10 gauge wire. I had 14 gauge previously, I believe. Maybe it was 12. I had 12 previously. According to the electrician, this is what I want for a 30 amp circuit coming in. So we're going to do that to be safe. From the box, from the panel, I'm going to have the 12 gauge. Unless I've got a really big circuit, I might run, if I have extra wire, this to it, which might be to like the galley in case she's going to use like a cooking machine type thing. And I may run one to the cockpit in case we're using power tools out here. Then we'll have 130 amp circuit, pretty much have everything else shut off in the boat. So I'm going to work on that right now. I've got some ground, the right ground bars that go for the panel that I bought. It doesn't come with them. Apparently the store didn't have them, so I had to order them, which I think is silly. If you're gonna carry the box, carry everything you're gonna need with it. And then I got this retainer clip as well. Not really sure how that works, but apparently it holds the double breaker into place so it doesn't pop out. I'm gonna refish some of the wires that I did the other day with the 12 gauge, and now I'm gonna do them with the 10 gauge. So I've got my shore power plug out, and I'm gonna go ahead and take off all these wires, and then I'm gonna try to fish it backwards with the new wire. Surprisingly, it looks like these wires, at least they're not home wiring. They look like they're all braided. A lot of times you'll find people just use typical home wiring, but these are all braided. Home wiring is going to be solid strand, but I don't know if they're marine wire, and you can see they're in pretty bad shape. So So I've got my old wire, I've got my spool of new wire, my cutters. My plan is to take the new wire, and you can see it's got the three. You've got your power, your neutral, and your ground wire. And these are all tinned. I'm going to attach it to here with electrical tape, and then when I pull it through, this should follow the same route through all the twists and turns back down into the electrical panel, which is way down there. Okay, so I've got it all taped up as skinny as I can possibly keep it. The weakest link is going to be right here where they meet, but I want it to be a little bit flexible to get around corners. If this doesn't work, my plan is to strip back one wire on each of them, loop them together, and then retape it so it has a nice tight bond. But we'll see how this goes. So I found a little tiny hole that had some light coming through it, so I knew it had to be this, and I fished it through. So we got ourselves a new wire that I can hook up to the box. So that makes me happy. Oh, I got such a mess going on. Alright, so panel is pretty much wired. I've got our main coming in, 30 amp main, goes into here with a jumper, and this powers both of these, which actually ends up powering both of these. I can cut this off, and then it depowers the whole bank, all of them. Got my whites over here, I've got my grounds over here. Now I did keep his wiring, the previous owner's wiring. It is stranded, it is not tinned, but it is red, black, and white. So I know my reds are all ground. I left the white for there, and power is black, which is the way it should be. So I'm going to make a note on the panel, I'm going to make a note on the wires, and I need to go back to each outlet because I did check, and he does not have the red wire. The red wire is not the ground wire, so I'm going to go switch all the outlets. I was putting new outlets on anyways, so I'll do that at that time, put new connections on, make sure they're all heat shrink and waterproofed. Eventually, I'll probably go through and switch these all out, but for the time being, the lines or wire seems fine, other than it's not tinned, but it's all, you know, the sheeting on it's all in great condition, and it's just some of them are in tough spots that I can't quite get to, so I'm not going to worry about it right now. I'm going to try to get everything up, get things working, and then I can go back through. It's pretty easy to unhook it, pull a run through. Next thing I'm going to work on is getting the panel mounted. There's some wood down there that it gets mounted to. Get the wires nice and tidy. Right now they're all just hung back there, but I know I have enough slack on them because I've been checking them one by one. And I did label them as I put them in here, and I'll label the box, or the panel I should say, so everything's nice and neat. Once that is in, my next plan is to get the charger mounted with the battery isolator that I just got over here, and I'm going to start working on wiring the DC side. I did already wire in the shore power cord out there, so I think we're pretty close to the electrical system. We're probably halfway, and then I'll work on the DC panels over there and getting the equipment all tied in, such as the bilge pump and lights and all that good stuff.
Thanks for watching and following our journey. Don't forget to click the thumbs up if you enjoyed the video and to subscribe so that you can be notified when we put out the next episode.